milestone, birthdays coming up, you know, you kind of just stop to think about what you've done in your life so far and what you'd still like to do. Well, Susan Williams turned 59 last November, and when that happened, she decided her life needed a bit of a shake-up. And so she started something she calls the 60 Before 60 Project. She's working her way through a list of 60 different things to do before she turns 60. That is a big, long list. She blogs about it on boomingencore.com. It's a website she started that's all about helping inspire baby boomers to live booners.
Baby boomers.
You know, that makes me think of my friend Mike Boone, who I always call Booner.
Who is a bit of a
He is a boomer and a booner, yeah. So it's all about inspiring baby boomers to live their best life. Susan Williams joins us now. Hi, Susan. Nice to meet you.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me.
So how were you feeling leading up to that 59th birthday back in November?
Well, it was funny because I was turning 59, and it you know, it was sort of with, like you mentioned, with milestones, you kind of take a look forward, you take a look back, and we were just coming out of the pandemic, and I really felt like I was suffering from a COVID hangover. I joked with friends that I felt like I wasn't wearing pants with buttons any longer. I was streaming way too much TV and series, and people would ask me to do things, and I'd go, oh, you know, no, I don't feel like doing it. It was just getting too much in a rut and a stay-at-home kind of mentality, and figured I really needed to get up and get my life going again. And so that's where I kind of came up with the idea of let's shake it up and try and do 60 different things before I turn 60 next year.
Are the 60 things all things that you've never done before, or that make you uncomfortable, or how did you come up with this?
Well, the list actually is still evolving. And some of it's things that I often say that I should do this or I should do that, so they've sort of made it onto the list. Some of the things that, for instance, going to the library. They built a new library just around the corner from us just before COVID, and I'd always drive past. I haven't been to a library in years, and so I thought, you know what, I should make a stop and actually go in and just see what's going on in libraries. And to be quite honest, my mind was blown. It's really transitioned from the old, our old Dewey Decimal System to what they're now offering in the community and things like that. So that was a good example of something really easy. As well as like cultural events that I was not going to. I went just recently to the St. Patrick's Day Parade. I went down to see Chinese New Year. Went out to live theater, come from away. So these were all things that we hadn't actually done for a number of years, and then some of the things I've never actually done. So it's a real combination of a group of different options that I'm just trying to add to the list, just to add some variety and possibly, give people ideas on things that they might want to do as well.
By the way, I'd just like to point out, yeah. I've not been, now that you said that, I've not been to a library in the 21st century.
Really? Yeah, see, but what I like about this, Susan, and I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, I hasn't been that long since I've been to a library, but you're right. I haven't been to a library in a while. My daughter loves going to the library. Why don't I go with her? So what I like about this is the accessibility. I think you immediately think of, like, these lofty bucket lists, like once-in-a-lifetime type things, but these are things that are really quite easily attainable, kind of a coulda, shoulda, in a simple approach.
Yeah, exactly. Like one that made the way to the list, which I didn't think was quite list-worthy, but the reason why I added it is as I talk to people, and it would just get my blood work done. For instance, so many of us have been putting that off because of COVID. We all want to stay away from, labs and health centers, but it's so important, especially as you're getting older, to make sure you get your blood work done. It's an excellent form of prevention. And as I talk to people, a lot of people didn't actually keep that up as well. So that's why that one, for instance, made it onto the list.
So are you thinking about for yourself, but also about other people? Like, I know that's what Booming Encore is all about, right? Trying to get people to live their best life.
It is, exactly. So where I can, I try and weave in, some of the aspects of positive aging or aging well. So, for instance, health aspects or social connection is so critical. So doing things with friends. I just did one recently. I thought it was going to be all about going to watch, a good friend's son play hockey. But what the actual experience was actually more about was reconnecting with old friends that we haven't seen in years. And so that one kind of did a flip on me, which I thought was quite interesting.
Cool.
I'd like to ask a silly question, if that's possible. Is that okay, Natasha?
Silly questions are always welcome.
Okay. Any food in your list, like food that you've never eaten, that you've always said, I will one day and I want to taste that or want to eat that?
I think that one's going to be one that I will find when I'm trying these new experiences. So, for instance, one that I'm really quite excited about is I wanted to, this is a big one, I wanted to share a life experience with my 2 adult children who are now up and out of the house. And so, for instance, at the end of this month, I'm going on an Alaskan cruise with my daughter.
Wow.
And So that's a big one for me. That's going to be like a bucket list kind of thing. But I'm really looking forward to that, and hopefully there'll be some new experiences there that I haven't done before that,
So
because I don't live in Alaska.
they really run the gamut, though. I like it's like go to the local library and go on an Alaskan cruise. Okay, so Susan, we're speaking with Susan Williams about the 60 Before 60 project. How far along are you in your 60 things on the list?
So far, I've done 23. And if you guys are okay, maybe I'll even add this one. Now we're at 24.
Like this one as it being interviewed on the radio?
That's right.
Hey, that's cool. Aaron, we made the list.
Wow, that's exciting.
and of the 23 that you've done so far, what are you feeling most proud of, or what affected you the most?
From an effect perspective, the one that affected me the most emotionally is I had to go to a museum, and then it was like, okay, which museum would I go to? And I actually went to the Holocaust Museum. So that one had a real emotional effect on me. So I had never been to a Holocaust museum, and that one, it really hit my heart. From a feel-good perspective, I went and saw Come From Away.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely loved it. I loved the story. I loved how uplifting it was. It was a really positive, something to go watch, and I really enjoyed that.
So how do you feel about this looming birthday? How do you feel about turning 60?
Age doesn't really bother me as much, and on my list is I'm gonna have an epic birthday party. I don't know what that epic actually means yet, but it's gonna be something big at the end. So I figured I'll plan it myself, and it's gonna be epic. But age has never really bothered me because I never really thought much of it per se, except as I started thinking about it, was more that I've got less time in front of me than I do behind me now. And that was sort of a switch for me. And it was like, if I really want to live the life that I want to live, I have to actually plan it and do it. And so I think that's the key thing I'm learning is actually getting things scheduled. So rather than just talking about it, it's actually scheduling and committing and doing is really the action aspect of it that I've really discovered is important.
Susan, do you have friends now that you're doing this who kind of want to hop on and join you in this stuff? Have you talked to them about this?
Yes, I've got lots of people have got great ideas. In actual fact, that's why the list is evolving, because someone will say, oh, have you thought about doing this? And so I've got people that I'm actually scheduled to do things with. So for instance, reflexology. I've never done reflexology before. Someone reached out to me and said, hey, have you ever, you want to give this a try? So, it made it onto the list, and it was an excellent experience.
Shout out to Wendy. I'm going to try the reflexology. I've never tried it before. So you're inspiring people who aren't even facing big milestone birthdays. Susan, I wonder, and please take this question with a grain of salt, but are you worried at all what comes after? Like, so you've accomplished the 60 before 60, you've done the list, you've turned 60, then what? Is that of concern at all?
Then I think it becomes a habit.
Ah, okay.
And so that's really what I'm trying to do is break the habit of saying no and move more to yes, and actually then getting into the habit of, when you're talking to someone and you're saying, we should really do this, actually pulling out my phone and saying, okay, let's schedule it now. When are we going to do it? And then actually committing to it.
I love this, and I love that we made the list. Number 24, Aaron.
Number 24.
We're on there. Hey, Susan, keep up the great work. This is very cool. We'll be following along the 60 Before 60 project. It's at boomingencore.com. Great to meet you, Susan. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it. You guys have got a great show.
Thank you. That's Susan Williams.